Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2023 College Championships is presented by Breakmark Ultimate.
It all comes down to this. It's the men's final at the 2023 Division III College Championships. Two undefeated teams going at it. The Middlebury Pranksters and Colorado College Wasabi. Theo Wan here with Mike Ball and Chris Casella. We couldn't be more thrilled to bring you this action. Mike, what are you looking forward to from the Middlebury side?
Yeah, thanks, Theo. From the Middlebury side, looking to see them control the energy level of the game. They've got a big, loud sideline. They're a deep team that's going to get really fired up from big plays. They've got their women's team in the stands supporting them as well. If they can control the energy, I think they're going to be able to play well in this game and come out of it with a win. Chris, what are you looking to see from Wasabi?
From Wasabi today, I'm looking to see them continue their path to dominance. They had some very good results this weekend, a very good win over Richmond in the semifinal, and I'm going to look at their two stars. I'm going to look at Lincoln Grench, and I'm going to look at Oliver Kraft to make some big plays, swing the game in their favor today.
Great.
And so we're going to tune into the action here as the lineups being announced. It couldn't be a better sight here at the Fortress Obetz Complex in Obetz, Ohio, as we got two undefeated, I'm going to say Titans out here, making plays all weekend, leading us to this point. And you're going to take a look at the bracket on your screen. Mike, there was a lot of fast, furious action. There was a couple tight quarterfinals as well on the route to get here.
Yeah, you look at this bracket, and it's easy to see the semis and the finals and think that it's been a pretty chalky tournament. And in terms of the outcomes of the games, it has been, but it's been far from just a straightforward tournament in terms of like the process of getting here. You look especially at the bottom half of that bracket. Middlebury survived a scare from Missouri S&T where they were down several breaks early, and they were down 13-12 before closing out on a run. And I think it was similar for St. Olaf against Kenyon, Chris. You had eyes on that game. That was another comeback. Yeah?
That was one of the most incredible quarterfinals I've seen since I've been looking at this division, Mike. You know, Kenyon was down 3-7 at one point and then came back. St. Olaf didn't hold until it was 10-7. So that's an 8-point unanswered run. That bottom half of the bracket was very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully another tight game today.
Teams lined up, observers down there in Team Orange as well. And we got this, I'm going to say, scintillating matchup, some different styles as we get a look at Wasabi. Wasabi runs a little bit of a tighter group here as Zenith, their women's team cheering them on, had a chance to have them on the live stream as well. So great to see the support. And a really fun fact, too, is that both programs have their women's team at this tournament, not just here supporting, but playing.
Yeah, a lot of camaraderie between those two programs. I was talking to the Middlebury guys yesterday before their semifinal, actually, and asking them about that relationship with their women's program. And the two teams are extremely tight. They spend most of the fall season playing mixed together and actually practicing together. And even during the spring season, on Saturdays, they have mixed pickup where they play together. So really cool camaraderie between the two programs. Congratulations to their women's team on winning their third consecutive championship in the women's final we had before this. Really exciting game against Carleton Eclipse, and hopefully their men's team here gives us just as thrilling of a performance.
If it's anything like the last game we saw, there was a furious comeback attempt there and led to a lot of excitement from the stands. And Chris, you were down at field level earlier, and the atmosphere in the stadium is pretty electric.
It really is. Once everybody starts to kind of crowd in, there's a lot of space here, but, you know, as time goes on, people are going to start to move in. It's really something. It's very loud. There's a lot of echoing from the bleachers. So once those big plays start to happen, you get these pops from the crowd, and you can go and see, you know, you can go and hear it from outside the stadium even. It's a very nice setup, and I'm really excited to see how these fans, as they start to trickle in, start to get a little bit excited.
Get a look at the conditions here. You know, we had rain in the very first round of pool play on Saturday morning, and since then it has been perfect weather for Ultimate. Just very light breezes, nothing but sunshine in the skies, and it's refreshing to have weather where there's not really an external factor that's going to be playing into this game, right? It's going to be decided on the field. It's going to be decided by the players and their ability to execute, and couldn't have drawn up better conditions for a championship weekend.
You see it in the background. Both teams getting pumped up. We're just mere minutes away from the men's final between Colorado College Wasabi and the Pranksters of Middlebury. We got the YMCA in the background. The crowd is excited, ready to go. Just before we start our observers for this game, Brian Bradburn, Wally Kwong, Sam Shapiro, and Alan Baggish, your Team Orange for this contest.
Yeah, and want to take a quick moment to shout out the observers and also all of the volunteers that have helped out this weekend. The staffing has been exceptional. The volunteers have all been really friendly and helpful, and having all these observers out here helping contribute to this experience for these teams has been terrific. Just want to give a quick shout out to all of the workers that have helped contribute to make this weekend happen.
Workers, volunteers, everyone involved, making this a great event for the players, and we thank you at home for being part of this event by grabbing an Ulti-World subscription and taking in the action. You, of course, can see all the games that we've streamed, an unprecedented 19 of them. 3-day tournament for D3. This tournament continued to expand in its notoriety, and it's really exciting to see for all involved. Middlebury going to start out here on defense. And Chris, we talked about Colorado College's stars. Lincoln Grench, one of them, and he's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting here on offense.
Yeah, Lincoln Grench is going to be one of the, like a true hybrid for Colorado College Wasabi. You're going to see him catching the centering pass. You're also going to see him initiating. They run a nice little side stack here. They're adaptable, so we're going to see how good that adaptability works against a very talented Middlebury Pranksters team.
Flag going to let that disc settle out of bounds, allowing Oliver Van Linder. With two Olivers on the team, he's going to be known as Billy Van Linder for this game, so you may hear me say BVL, and that's going to be referring to number 11 there. Break mark, starting things off. For Wasabi, inside shot, looking for Grench past half field. You mentioned Grench can throw it and come down underneath.
Rogers inches away from a block there. DiLorenzo could have pulled the trigger there, chooses not to.
Hopping in just outside the end zone, flipping into Grench, a potentially dangerous throw, and Grench skips out and points to the crowd as he celebrates the first score for Wasabi.
Two really tight physical defensive plays there for Middlebury. They're going to set the tone early with that. They're going to go and say, you know, we're not afraid to draw some contact. We'll see how that progresses throughout the game. Maybe they start to take exception. Maybe Wasabi gives it the other way.
Yeah, not crazy about a couple of those bids, looking a little bit dangerous, and it's easy for, you know, the excitement of being in a national championship game to get the best of you. So I haven't really seen that from Middlebury this weekend, so I don't anticipate it being an issue, but look to get them settled in and maybe clean up some of that contact here that we see early on.
Simon Brown firing the assist for the score for this Wasabi side, and that allows us to get a look at the defensive squad for Colorado College and also the offense of Middlebury.
Chris, quick question for you. We saw Colorado College start off in a split stack look there, putting 3 cutters on the far rail and 2 cutters in the initiation space over on the fore side. Is that a look that we see a lot from them? What are the kind of like offensive sets that we can see Wasabi run over the course of this game?
I mean, they run a bunch of different sets. Yesterday against Richmond, they came out in a side stack, ran some pretty good flood looks. They also came out in a vert when things started to get a little bit tight, just kind of rely, you know, go back to the old reliable offense that so many teams run. I haven't seen that split stack look this weekend, so that's something that's going to be really interesting. Looks like they ran a little bit of a sweep play to Grench, you know, taking that initiating cut. We'll see if they work that out. It was pretty successful for them in that first point.
LaValle, a big-time player from Middlebury, had the disc and shoveling it over to Bayshore. Patient offense, vertical stack from the Pranksters on their first offensive point over to one of their big-time players, Hanscom. Number 96 on your screen in white. As they get it down to the break side and trying to punctuate this first offensive point. Nigerian resetting things back, and fluid offense so far as they're knocking on the door of a hold. And speaking of knocking, Colorado College smacking it away. That's Simon Brown.
volleyball spike of a block there. Had a target going wide open as we see Kraft looking to boost it early.
Brown, the one with the block, also going to be on the catch. Colorado College knocking on the door of a break. Van Linder, open side. It's a score. Another late bid potentially from Middlebury. But Colorado College gets their first break, another score. That's Will Wallace.
Really fast break attack there from Wasabi as Middlebury reeling a little bit from the turnover at the goal line, and Wasabi able to punish them, striking quickly the opposite direction. Really resilient stand there, denying what looked like an easy goal. Fast breaking the other way to get a break.
Look at this block. Gee, Mike, you're right. That's a little volleyball spike there. Goes and immediately gets the huck the other way. Nice shape there. Good body positioning there from Brown to reel in that huck, and then just nice little fundamental offense here from Wasabi to punch in this break.
Yeah, you see Van Linder crossed over on that D point, Chris. Is that something that we can look forward to seeing frequently? Does he cross over often for Wasabi?
For sure. Billy Van Linder was somebody yesterday who had a really good standout performance. We talked about this on our live pod last night, Mike. He was one of the players that we really want to see also have a good game today. You'll see him moving over, kind of working with their other defensive stalwart there, Oliver Kraft. I think that's a really good decision to move him over as a good handler to punch in that break early on in this game.
We're seeing a battle of the sidelines. Middlebury trying to get their players involved and seeing both teams, women's teams, hanging on the fence, hanging with every throw right now is Oliver Kraft. One of their best players. He starts out on defensive line, which is a very interesting strategy from Wasabi. They want to put one of their best players out there taking the top matchup as there's a collision in the backfield.
This game starting off very physical for both teams. Not necessarily a receipt, as they would call it in WWE for anybody who watches that, but definitely something where they're going to dictate early that they're okay with playing with that pressure. A little bit too much there. Call stops play.
Bayshore getting tangled up there with Earhart. Disc will remain in the hands of Hartle. Still remaining in the back of the middle of their end zone right now.
Looking like a little bit of a junk look here from Wasabi just to bust up any sort of pull play that the Pranksters might have had, and it's done a good job of stifling their early movement. See if the Pranksters are comfortable working out of the middle of their end zone.
Friends trying to fire up the sideline, and it results in a turnover. I saw him out there pumping up the crowd. And now Oliver Kraft, you have a smart thrower with the disc, and things could go from bad to worse for Middlebury right now if they go down 3-0 here. Kirkham looking for a reset. A little jam cut over to Kraft, and they might work a little give-go here. But a good switch off by Hartle, stifling things momentarily, but still getting open is Kraft.
Great defense there from Hartle to deny that initially.
Inside shot. Rule the goal, and Wasabi taking a 3-0 lead.
Wasabi going up really big here, Theo. I mean, this is just really fundamental work here from Oliver Kraft and Elliot Kirkham, two of their players who are fine commanding the disc, going back and forth and trusting each other to go and get these discs in super tight windows. Middlebury not taking off defensive pressure there, even after these turns. Look at this movement here from the two of them.
Something that stands out to me about the handlers here for Wasabi is the size on these handlers. Both Kraft and Kirkham are tall guys, up over 6 feet, big athletic players, and they're able to use that length to have really wide range of release points on these throws.
And this was something I talked about yesterday with Richmond coach Matt Graves. They put their best handler defenders on these Colorado College players, but there's nothing you can do when you have a 200-pound handler who can just put their body in front of you, seal the play, and go and get those resets. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you're bigger, sometimes you just win that matchup, Mike.
And Mike, you had a chance to watch Middlebury a few times now, and so when the going gets tough, what does their offensive line look like? Are they crossing over some D-line stalwarts out there to try to stem the tide, as you will?
Yeah, and you see a couple of them there. Furthest right on the line is freshman Peter Manns, and next to him is Malachi Raymond. Both those typically D-line players. Middlebury's been in some early deficits already this weekend. They were down 5-2 early against Missouri S&T in quarters. So this is a space they're comfortable being in. Doesn't mean they like being in it, though. We'll see if they can be resilient here.
Started in a zone, but now melting into person. as Lavallee, excuse me, moving things over to Hanscom. This is the third straight offensive point for this Middlebury side. Trying to get on the board in this national final. Saw a player slip down just now, and we saw that a lot on the grass on the showcase field yesterday. We'll see if that plays a role with the turf.
Mann's getting a nice big under. Middlebury, a team that's really patient on offense. They're not too aggressive in the deep space, and we'll see if at some point they decide to stretch the field out a little bit. Things are getting a little congested here. Colorado College clamping on these unders in these resets.
This vertical stack continuing its form right now for Middlebury as they're looking for some options. Swinging it out to Hartle. Raymond bursting out of the stack, but they don't hit him. Instead going over to Hanscom. A methodical offensive point, ending with a layout for the score for the Pranksters.
We highlighted Mann's crossing over from D-line, giving an injection of energy to that Middlebury O-line, and the freshman steps up big time there. Did a lot of nice cutting, gained a bunch of yardage on that point, and punctuates it with the layout goal.
That's definitely a must-hold there for Middlebury. You're down 3-0, and we talk about energy sometimes. We talk about momentum. Here's a play right here that can go and get your teammates fired up. Really nice bid there from Mann's.
And that's not a huck, but it is an away shot. It's to a receiver going away instead of coming in on an under. And Hanscom is super disciplined with his decisions and takes the safe shot most of the time. I like seeing him take the decision to stretch the field a little bit and hit the receiver going away.
The Seattle Washington product, two-time All-American, is a big reason why Middlebury's where they are. And we get a look more at some of the great things that make D3 the division that it is. I've seen different costumes throughout this weekend. I'm going to put both of you on the spot. What's your favorite thing that you've seen in terms of some of the costumes or the gear that teams have been wearing?
It's hard for me to pick just like one that's my favorite. I will say that what I like most about getting to cover this division is that every team feels like they have their own personality. It feels like every team is, no two snowflakes are exactly the same kind of thing. Every team is their own unique personality and being, and it makes each team interesting to cover in their own unique way.
Theo, what I'll say, it's the People's Division. I love all the uniquenesses. There's a huck that goes up to Grench.
Grench gonna run this one down, and for Middlebury, you get the hold, but Colorado College right back, cleaned themselves. Grench celebrating with his teammates.
Grench right there. We talked about how he's going to be one of the most dynamic players on the field today. Just some really good separation in the deep space. Wasabi sees that kind of coming up. That looked like a little bit of a design huck play there, clearing out the deep space to give him the one-on-one matchup as we see his cleats get shined by his teammates there on the sideline.
Yeah, and the matchup there on Grench was freshman number 25, Louis Duville-Baudouin. Baudouin took the Will Brandt matchup in the second half of their semifinal against St. Olaf yesterday and was able to contain him a good bit. But you see here just beat by one simple cut and unable to close the space. Something Middlebury will need to do, stating the obvious here, is get more holds to get their defense out there more consistently so that these players can get more comfortable in those matchups and start to figure them out a little bit.
BVL throwing his second assist of the game for Wasabi. It's 4-1 right now, and they got to solve some answers for this one. He's got the spotlight. We talked about the media training. These players know where the camera is and what to do.
Yeah, it's definitely now, especially with the more cameras that we're able to bring to this tournament, the more coverage we're able to see. People are getting used to finding exactly where to look, and Grench right there sees the camera, knows he's going to go live and get his stat line up there and give it a nice point and wave to the folks back home. So.
The last offensive point for the Pranksters, the team from Vermont, was a clean hold. See if they can do it this time around. Coming on that patented vertical stack, and Colorado College kind of zoned downfield.
Yeah, Theo, we talked to the Colorado College coaching staff before the game, and as we see a huck go up here from Hartle, he's got Hanscom running deep.
That throw just too far. We'll see where it even lands, or where the observers say it comes in. So it's going to be towards the attacking side of Colorado College. I'll let you finish your thought there, Mike.
Yeah, while Kraft goes to retrieve the disc. So the coaching staff was talking about, you see Oliver Kraft here. We ran a piece highlighting the individual handler defense of Kraft in the semifinal yesterday, but The Wasabi coaching staff stressed that against a team like Middlebury, it's going to be more about team defense and working together, 7-on-7, not the one-on-one matchups. And we've seen that junk look there. Good communication from the team defense there, taking away the Pranksters' first looks.
Kirkham been very solid for this team and is in the backfield, flipping it over. Finds Sam Davis, an offensive player who's crossed over to D right now. Coming through is Kraft.
Really strong physical cut there from Kraft, just blowing through the body of his defender.
Davis faking the around. Finding a reset in Kraft. If you know how to stop resets, you also know how to cut for them. And a timeout from Wasabi, sensing maybe the stack getting too deep and wanting to take a breath. Colorado College up 4-1 currently, trying to dial up another break. And we'll be right back.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're Frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
Coming out of the timeout, Colorado College knocking, and I mean knocking on the door of a break. Would be their third of this game, and they have it in relatively good field position as a team. Any team in Ultimate or coaches watching in the audience, you know you drill this end zone set starting from the opposing brick mark. So this is something they've practiced many a time out here when it comes to the spring. Kraft picking up for Colorado College.
I feel like every coach has their preferred play that they're going to run out of a timeout, especially in the red zone set. Like something that's comfortable, something that's drilled, something that's practiced. See what that look is here for Wasabi, but I bet they have a go-to that every player is comfortable with for a situation like this.
Run on the stack movement from Hills. And it doesn't work out for them. Middlebury gets an opportunity on offense. That's the first turnover for Colorado College in this game. LaValle spinning around. Almost there, but they keep possession. Do the Pranksters and going deep. Hanscom has a couple people there, but it doesn't matter as he goes up large with the left hand. Quick action leads to the hold for Middlebury.
Yeah, I talked earlier about Middlebury not necessarily loving the deep game and being a lot more disciplined. We saw 2 hucks from there. I liked the first one. It was just an execution error to an open player in space. I'm not sure what the thrower saw on that one, but Hanscom showing what makes him special, elevating early, going up to get the grab, and Middlebury survived the scare and get the hold.
Hanscom, is going to be behind the disc when they really need him, but I think his strength, Mike, as I've seen him play over the years, has just been a big downfield threat. Goes up there strong with the left hand, just able to play calm and collected, find the open person, play 3-on-2, and that's a hold for Middlebury. That's a good one as well.
Fenimore throwing the assist for the Pranksters side. As Colorado College, their offense been perfect so far. 2 clean holds to begin this game, and they're back out on the field as we get a shot at the Pranksters. Their fans, I'm sure some alumni are out here making the drive. The women's team as well. That three-peat in that game that we just saw was also pretty special.
Yeah, really strong stuff from the Middlebury women's team. Chris and I were talking, I think it's been not just 3 straight championships for the Pranksters women's program, but 3 years without a loss to a D3 team. Just an incredible level of consistency.
And they just continue to recruit these top athletes and players as Grench initiating things for this Wasabi side. Raymond had a shot, but going to keep things going with Sam Davis. Flag finding a teammate downfield. Perhaps a travel there, but not called. That was McGarrigan.
Dahl getting a little greedy on his mark there instead of just setting a mark, trying to get a block.
Speaking of a block, there looked like one, but there's going to be a foul there, so it's going to come back. Kai Hoadley on the mark, lefty flip. Colorado College going so fast, but not in just yet. Van Linder hits Flag, who had his defender spilled to the turf, and a big kick spike to highlight that offensive point.
Middlebury's defense there, Mike, and you kind of talked about it with these marks overcommitting. It didn't really look like they were taking much away. They looked a little bit out of sorts. Colorado College was able to just break the mark pretty much whenever they wanted, and then they were just off to the races. There was a good switch right at the start there from Malachi Raymond, just kind of to stop the upline. But, just back and forth here, they're almost playing Goaltimate on the goal line here. I mean, they're just dishing. Nice little cut there, and that's another goal for Wasabi.
Yeah, we talked about the length that the Wasabi throwers have and how difficult that makes them to mark because of the extension they have on their releases. And on that foul call, you saw Hoadley have to lay out to contest that around backhand because of the height difference that he has between Grinch. I'll be curious to see. I'd like to see the Pranksters maybe switch to a backhand force just because with that flick break throw instead, they can go flatter marks to deny that inside backhand and make Wasabi beat them with a different type of breakthrough instead of being able to just extend around them with the backhand.
We talked about these defensive looks here for Wasabi, and we also talked about how Middlebury will like to kind of churn out those unders, maybe not necessarily attacking deep space as much as they like. This looks like a forced middle kind of sag set from Wasabi, and it's been working pretty well, so we'll see if they come down here again. Look for those marks to kind of force everything back towards the middle of the field, clog up the lanes, give some opportunities for some good blocks here.
The senior Kraft pulling for this Wasabi side. 10 blocks so far in this tournament. And been a big D-line stalwart for them as a little more junky look from this Wasabi side here.
Yeah, breaking up the early flow, but Middlebury nice and patient, gets through it.
Might have jinxed them there, Mike, as LaValle was the recipient of that. And you see Kirkham telling everybody to slow down, high-fiving Kraft as he'll walk over the disc. Middlebury, somebody is poached, and now they reset. Kirkham, about 15 yards away. We've seen this give and go quick action from Wasabi. It's so dangerous in these tight spaces.
Kraft looks so comfortable out there, completely in control, getting open for resets and looking nice and calm once he does have the disc.
Pick call will halt play, and you mentioned some of the heroics of his defense yesterday, but you can see him really buzzing around in the handler space as a reset, making things very difficult. And that throw and go, so hard to stop. Some discussion on when the disc will come in here. Kirkham looking immediately to reset. Finds Kraft, who's, like you mentioned, Mike, very calm, and is going to go around. Hanscom was there, can't get the block. And a good layout effort, but the Middlebury offensive line gets a chance here.
A little bit of a gift there for the Pranksters. I mean, that was a wide open goal and just a missed throw here. Sometimes, Chris, it's those easy ones that become the hardest. It almost seems too good to be true.
If you think about it a little bit too much, the fundamentals start to fade, and, you just miss a wide open backhand. We've all been there.
LaValle gets it through. A couple poaching defenders, but they're up to the task. Hanscom had Bayshore going deep, but holds onto the disc for now. High stall, gets through, and Hartle takes a big bump, but the size allows him to absorb the contact.
Saw that a lot from Hartle yesterday. He'd rather shake off the contact than stop the flow of play. Take advantage of the defender being on the ground.
LaValle doing a great job of communicating with his cutters where to go. Has Hartle going to the break side, but he doesn't hit him because there's a call.
Yeah, I'm guessing there was a contact there. Seems like Kirkham wants to discuss it.
Alan Baggish, one of the observers, right in the action here, trying to keep things moving. Team Orange doing a great job of that all weekend, and you already thanked them. I'm going to thank them again because that is a very invaluable role to this tournament, especially in finals. We saw it in bracket play where they had 4 observers in those big-time games. Want to make sure they get the calls right and doing a service to the players here. Hanscom on the sideline. Had someone fall down here in that turf. You're starting to see its effects potentially.
It feels like every completion is difficult for Middlebury. It's either having to make a hard throw, breaking the mark, or having to make a contested catch through contact. And you see, that starts to add up. It chips away at you a little bit, and it's just a matter of time before one of those goes astray.
This is also the first time, I do want to note this, that either of these teams are playing on turf this weekend. So, you play, it's not necessarily totally different, but you can slip a little bit more. It's hotter than it normally is, so maybe that's getting to them a little bit. But you're right, Mike. They look a little bit more out of sorts, Middlebury does, than they have in some previous games.
An inside shot. You can't skip it in ultimate. You tried that maybe right there.
Skips for 2. We call it all the time.
Yeah, that's allowed at Fools Fest, but unfortunately not at D3 Nationals.
That's got to count somewhere.
Just not at this tournament right now. And Mike, you had mentioned the tough throws that they've had to make for Middlebury. We saw that with Richmond as well yesterday in their semifinal. Things were quite difficult. And this handler defense from Wasabi is up to the task. Hartle having to force a high stall throw, and that's just going to hit the sideline.
Yeah, the timing is all off for Middlebury. It seems like when their throwers are looking to step around, their receivers are cutting to the fore side. And then when they pump back to the fore side, that's when the break side cut's coming. They just got to get on the same page and find that rhythm together.
Kraft's going to walk it to where the observer left the little orange pylon there, a little beanbag going up the line. And it's going to work out for Wasabi. The break train continues, a little celebration at the end for Simon Brown.
Brown there just breaking up the fourth side. Just a nice little throw from Kraft there. Good control to get that nice shape. Put it out in front of his receiver. Just can run onto it. And that's another huck as we see a bird on the field. Once again, oh, and there was a person the whole time. That's the second time they've gotten me with that, Theo. And I don't know how
You're easily
to feel
fooled,
about it.
Chris.
I am easily fooled for sure.
I want to talk about the throw from Kraft there. Really nice shape, good edge on the throw. And you see that's the earlier one. The easier throw, not able to complete it, but Kraft hitting the away shot in stride to Brown. And coming into this game, Kraft was 7th in the tournament with 21 assists on the weekend. That kind of production from the D-line is truly impressive, Chris.
Yeah, I do want to note something really quick here, Mike. I mean, Middlebury hasn't taken a timeout. You're down 6-2. You know, you look a little bit out of sorts. We were talking about it on the offense. Like, you know, maybe we talk about Middlebury and the lack of a coach here, the lack of kind of a centering force sometimes. And I think that kind of helps. It could help sometimes keeping the energy up. It's a very player-run team. But also, like, you know, maybe on occasion you need somebody to just center you, say, okay, let's get back to our systems. Maybe let's make some adjustments here. And it looks like Middlebury hasn't done that yet.
With Colorado College, they've been doing some of this break train run without Lincoln Grench on the field. He's been resting on the sideline. That allows one of your stars to be rested. If Middlebury makes a run, you're going to have to play Grench multiple points in a row. So something to keep an eye out on. Malachi Raymond stepping out from the D-line onto this offensive point for Middlebury.
And we see Mans back out there as well. Those two seeming to be the two key candidates to cross over. Mans with the disc here.
Bayshore had Hurdle, but instead keeps the disc and now eventually hits Hurdle on this side. Hurdle had that throwaway earlier going left to right on your screen, and they have trust in him. He's going to stay back out there. Hanscom has the disc and no one going deep until now. Great catch to keep things alive. Peter Mans flipping it back to LaValle. Over to Hurdle, and they didn't need a timeout, Chris. They were able to score just like that with a clean hold.
Yeah, I guess I'm eating my words there, aren't I? That was some good offense there from Middlebury, able to work it through the Wasabi defense. You know, it wasn't necessarily the quickest movement downfield, but it was fundamental. It was hitting the break throws when they had to hit them. We'll see this nice shot here from Hanscom.
I think you're being a little generous calling that a nice shot, Chris. It's a completion, right? And they'll take it however they can get it. But so I like that shot from both sides. Let me try and explain why quickly. For Wasabi, they forced Middlebury out of plan A, which is their movement, their flow, their around swings and everything, forcing them to take the deep look, taking them out of their A game. And that's not Hanscom's A game either, right? Like, he's a fantastic player, but that's not what he does best. However, I like that shot from Hanscom. You got exasperated on a couple deep looks that they pumped off earlier in the point. Somebody has to lead by example and show the team, like, we can hit these looks. We should take these looks when they're available. And Hanscom, as a captain, stepped up and did that there. I imagine he's on the sideline telling his team, like, we can hit those shots. We can take those looks and be successful. Let's have the confidence to step in and do it.
Now they got the break in this offensive line on the field. Grench is there. There is an offside call, and we'll see if Colorado College elects to play through it. They do, as a zone look from the Pranksters, trying to gummy up things offensively for Colorado College, as Van Linder, haven't seen him a couple points because their offense has been off. Nice inside shot to Flag. See how long Middlebury stays in this different set here. Raymond hovering in the deep space.
Already in the red zone here. not sure there's much of a deep space left for him to be taking away.
Just the end zone, hoping to prevent that goal here as Van Linder working with Grench. High release flick, maybe a little too cheeky right there, and Middlebury gets a chance.
Just no need for that throw. And, like, maybe that kind of, lack of focus comes when you get to sit out for 4 straight points. But silly throw from Grench. They were getting everything they wanted. As we see a deep look, but now it goes up to Raymond, hanging a little bit. Raymond is able to elevate, unable to reel it in, though.
Raymond going to see if he calls a foul. He does not, I stand corrected. It is a foul call. It's going to be ruled a goal. Raymond is pumped up as Middlebury gets the break.
That is such a huge play from Malachi Raymond. I loved that Bodwin put it up for Raymond to go make a play. When you need to switch the momentum, you got to trust your playmakers to go up and make that big play for you there. That throw was a little bit floaty, a little bit of a trust ball. As we see the turnover there from Grench, Bodwin putting it up for Raymond. Raymond sizing it up the whole time. And I think that was probably a strip there. It looked like the rotation had been stopped by Raymond and then knocked out of his hands. I think that's a good call. And now Middlebury showing that they are capable of breaking this Wasabi O-line.
Yeah, that was really good use of a pretty much a silly mistake there from Grench. I think Middlebury was just able to capitalize. That was a great shot there to just kind of open up the space, say, hey, this is something that we can still do. If you're going to, kind of goof around a little bit, take some shots that you're not supposed to take, we're going to punish you there. And I think Grench is maybe looking at himself and, just kind of saying, I could have stepped out, could have done a little bit different, didn't need to do a high release flick over 2 defenders in a cut.
And that is unlike Grench. He's only got 6 turnovers on the weekend coming into today's game. And for the usage that he has on that O-line, that's a pretty impressive stat. So expect him to tighten it up here and get back to doing what he does best.
Juville Baldwin with the pull, and things centered over to Grench. No Kraft. They're electing not to cross him over and keep the same offensive line out there for Wasabi as another zone look from this prankster defense. Pullman getting it back to Grench. Had some speed, but a little travel, so tapping the disc back in here. Pullman getting another under, just working in that small space between the cup. Flag has an open receiver, and that's as easy as it gets for Colorado College.
Yeah, you saw on the far side there for Middlebury, whoever was playing that wing spot for them just got sucked in and baited into trying to step up to get a block and was appropriately punished for doing so.
Yeah, Mike, that's exactly right. When you're teaching zones like that, what you want to see is you want to see those wings move together like pistons, right? You want to see one of them go in and the deep kind of push over, but we see some really good defense here. Some nice movement through the zone here from Wasabi, and then just kind of punishing this open look. Wing coming in, you're exactly right, and then Raymond just isn't able to get there. A little bit too far away.
Now the score being the way it is, 7-4. Wasabi trying to take an 8-4 half. See if they power up a defensive line here. And for Middlebury, they're going to roll with their usual offensive suspects out there as we get a great shot of the Wasabi sideline. They run a tighter roster, and that is great as long as they can get the sideline involved. And you see it throughout this contest. Even those who aren't getting as much burn on the field, they're out there pumping up their squad.
Yeah, that's great program buy-in, and that's coming down to the leadership of the coaches and the captains to manage that team culture and make sure everybody remains locked in and bought in. And staying active on the sideline helps keep you mentally engaged so that if your number is called to step on the field, you're feeling the energy of the game and you're ready to do so.
Offside called there on Wasabi. When you got the 4 observers, they're going to see if you're offside. There's too many eyes out there to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, these new offsides rules are something that benefits a sideline who can kind of help and signal and say, hey, offsides, as opposed to just the normal repull that it used to be in the before they switched over that rule.
Hands come at midfield on this close sideline. Carpenter jogging into Mark. We see Kraft doing the handler defense, drawing the LaValle matchup. Had a couple big blocks yesterday against Richmond's top handler in Chopert. And he's hunting for another block in the backfield.
Yeah, I was going to be curious to see who on Middlebury was, let's call it, lucky enough to draw the Oliver Kraft matchup. And talking to the Wasabi coaches before the game, they had a few different players in mind that they were gonna experiment with putting Kraft on. And the LaValle matchup here makes sense, as that is like someone who tends to live in the handler space for Middlebury, which is Kraft's strength. we'll see who else draws that matchup over the course of the game.
And when you have the depth that Middlebury has, you're going to have to figure out which pieces you're going to put on who. And Colorado College's size, I think, has given opponents a lot of trouble throughout this tournament.
Yeah, people see size and immediately associate it with what it's going to mean for like the deep space and the deep game, but we're seeing that size really matter on these marks for Colorado College as well. Able to put that link just creates a little bit of extra pressure, makes your throwers think about it just a little bit more, maybe have to step out a little bit further and change the release point, and see a little bit of a false start there from the Middlebury Cutters. I think that's Nigerian.
Play going to start, momentarily. Bayshore finds the aforementioned Nigerian. Good around coverage on the mark, and it does come around, and great save to keep things alive for the Pranksters.
Yeah, Ethan LaValle's nickname on the team is Batman, and you see him being the hero there, saving possession for the Pranksters offense.
Mike definitely had that one loaded up all weekend, wanting to bust that on the stream here as there's a pick downfield.
I can be creative sometimes. Come on now. I don't just prepare those to sit for on the stream.
Speaking of preparation, I know both of you saw the women's final. There were some really good celebrations from both sides. I don't know where they practiced that, but it came out a lot in the final.
I mean, for both of them, they score a lot of points during games. So
a lot of practice.
Large numbers, they're able to get some stuff. Oh,
we go into story time, and Middlebury says, no, we're going to score a hold right now. So focus back on us as Hartle spikes it after the score.
I think Wasabi was just as unprepared for that disc to be tapped in as we were, Theo, as it didn't look like they were ready for that nice, easy goal there. But, you know, we saw one of the cliches you hear talked about a lot in Ultimate, right? Like defenses that come off trying to feel better about themselves after giving up a goal is body blows, right? Like we're chipping away at them, wearing them down. But Wasabi really is you know, embodying that and showing that every throw, it feels like, is so contested for Middlebury. They got to find a way to create easier options for themselves.
yeah, I think that's right. If, you know, when we get these stats going throughout the remainder of the game, it'll be interesting to see what these clean hold stats look like, because I know for Middlebury, they have had to grind every single point, and for even a high energy team like Middlebury, being able to rest your offense, being able to not have to get, 2 or 3 defensive points while you are on the field as an O-line is going to be something that is definitely going to come into play throughout this game for Middlebury.
By my count, Colorado College able to hold with clean holds on their offense. They started out here with the disc receiving, and so they'll be out on defense. They're trying to score for half, take that 8-5 lead, but we know that 3-point lead in Ultimate is very deceiving at halftime. That's the biggest cliche I know.
I think that's another one that teams use to try and make themselves feel better about a less than ideal situation. But, whatever you got to do to keep that positive mental space, I suppose.
The most unsafe lead is what I heard about, especially if you start on offense. So we'll see if that works out. Colorado College, of course, has to score on this point to make that happen and make that a reality here. Quick movement already, getting them at half field. Grinch faking the backhand, making his mark spin around there.
Yeah, I think that's craft that's crossed over on this point. You don't see that often from Wasabi, but making sure that they get this hold to take half.
Van Linder, rookie on this squad, been so calm and collected in the handler space. Gonna get it back in the give and go. And he just moves the mark so well with those fake movements and has flag now trying to get that jam cut, does get it off, but the reset's a little bit tougher right now for Wasabi.
Yeah, that had to be stall 9.5 because that stall count felt like it was way up there.
So this Middlebury defense really tightening up here as they try to claw back in this game.
Yeah, those handler marks are doing a really good job. I mean, they're not only shutting down the first move, they're shutting down the second and third. You're right, those are coming up super duper late, probably within an 8 or 9.
Something to watch downfield. Bodwin has the Grinch matchup again, and he's been shading him, playing underneath him a little bit, almost daring that deep shot to go up. Feels like if power position happens, one of them might go up. We'll see if Bodwin's able. You see there on the replay underneath Grinch. We'll see if that gets punished here or not.
Van Linder faking that undercut. Grinch going deep. They're going to look for, there's a couple players there, and now it's just a pile up. And coming down with it is Wasabi, and that's the crossover player Oliver Kraft, he's flexing for the crowd. They take half 8-5.
You go up in a crowd and come down with it like that, you've earned the right to flex. What a big-time grab. Not great process from Wasabi there, hucking it into traffic, but we've talked about the size advantage that they have in this game, and showing off that size advantage there is Kraft putting the team on his shoulders there to make sure that Wasabi gets the hold for half.
I was waiting for that huck to go up. It looked like they were just kind of waiting on that flick side to see when they were going to be able to get a shot to the middle over there. As we take another look here, Billy Van Linder just loading up right through the middle. Kraft just going, elevating over even his own player to go and get that block, or to go and get that hold. I'm sorry.
4 assists from Van Linder, and you see Kraft now, he's very relaxed. Great body language from this Colorado College side. They take half 8-5. Their coaches, Ben Jelinek, Jimmy Donnellan, and Spencer Hawkins, they got to be excited because they have the Wasabi squad up 8-5.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
And even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
Doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
a place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
a place where we remember to laugh,
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
Are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate. What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores. Let's put our living...
All right, and we are live on the sideline with Max Hanscom, captain of the Middlebury Pranksters. Good first half, Max. What are you saying in the huddle to bring it back?
Hey, this isn't football, this isn't basketball, this is about finding true love. That's all it is.
Isn't that the truth?
Do you not hear what he's
Anything else
saying?
that you want to say to the
He's like, it's
fans
all about
back
finding
home?
true love.
Women's division just won a title, trying to run it back
No,
with the
Max
men.
Hanscom.
They sure did. Half our team is champions already. We're trying to get the other half there. God bless America, we sell nitrous.
Oh my
Thanks so
gosh.
much, Max.
You just said,
Serious
"God
as
bless
always
America,
with
we
the
sell
Pranksters
nitrous."
over here on the sideline. Back to you, Theo.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Fiona, and great color there from Max Hanscom. That's what makes the Pranksters the team that they are. They're trying to make a comeback. They're still dancing. But right now it's Wasabi holding the advantage, 8-5.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
that one is pulled down.
Josie Gillette, inside forehand to Warder. He goes up and gets it.
Going away with a blade and a great one-handed catch.
Caught by Chang.
Great layout block from Samuel. Alan Villanueva climbing the ladder and then jumping off the ladder. That one pops in the air and a great grab. Looking to break to take half. Rogowski to the end zone and the layout catch.
Welcome back to Old Two Worlds live coverage of the 2019 D3 College Championships. From the center of the sun, College Station, Texas.
Abby Chang going for it all.
Absolutely, just ripped it.
Unmarked. And she puts up a
Pranksters 5.
Second half action coming at you from the men's final at the 2023 D3 College Championships. Colorado College holding an 8-5 lead. Theo Wan here with Mike Ball and Chris Casella. Excited to bring you this coverage and culminating this great weekend here as Middlebury going left to right on your screen in the white jerseys. Trying to get that hold to start the half the right way.
High stall count here, although it looks like there might be a call that helps things here.
Foul called.
Allows your team to set up a little bit.
Looks like there's some more contact on the mark there. It's Kirkham, I think, on the mark, who's been pretty physical. You know, he's got that big frame and is able to just kind of take some contact on the step out. We see Hartle over there arguing that, you know, hey, you're pushing off and back and forth, but it looks like that's going to be something, you know, that has happened throughout this game and that'll probably continue to happen. But
both teams' eyes on the prize here, and if the women's final is any indication, this one's going to go down to the wire as Hartle finds a teammate in the open side space, but out of the left-hand reach of Bayshore, and so Colorado College trying to break out a half. Van Linder, usually an offensive player, out here on the D line. Over to Kirkham, continuing things to the open side. That's Will Wallace. Has Van Linder coming across. They're about 5 yards away, and play's going to stop for a pick.
We see Wasabi on the doorstep here. They had a break chance go astray in the end zone in the first half. See if they can be more clinical here and make this opportunity count. Kick off the first half with a break, or second half with a break, excuse me.
Will Wallace, the Colorado product. Flipping it with the lefty, and now they're on the end zone line, and a prophet right there is Mike as Colorado College gets the break out of half, finding Oliver Kraft.
Just a really strong cut to the front cone. Super explosive to beat a defender of the caliber of Malachi Raymond to the front cone like that. Check out on the replay how he was able to get that positioning, but that just looked way too easy for the Wasabi D-line.
You know, coming out of half, something that you just want to see if you're on offense. We talk about that 3-goal lead, right? We talk about, you know, what you need right now is just a clean hold, and just that little miscue as we see that strike there from Kraft to go and get the goal. Kraft has been having himself a bracket.
Been having himself a tournament, Chris. I mean, he's been absolutely dominant for Wasabi. Someone who didn't play in the postseason last year. To quote their team, he broke his face at the last practice before regionals, which knocked him out of the postseason. Not really sure how you break your face.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what that's like.
Not interested in finding out. But wasn't in the postseason last year, and he's been, in my opinion, their best player so far this weekend.
It sounds like one of those things in Madden, like when you're just out of nowhere, there's a rare injury that comes out. It's like had to go get car service and then had to miss game. Like, that's one of those, broken face. Well, good that his face is unbroken and he's back in this game making a lot of contributions for this Wasabi team.
Speaking of contributions, that's Billy Van Linder, his 5th assist of the game. So he's having a game as well for this Colorado College side. A few of their stars stepping up here. Bayshore back out there. Had the missed catch attempt on the last offensive point. And similar offensive players. Malachi Raymond, the crossover you mentioned. Got to look out for Peter Manns out there as well.
Yeah, that junk look for Colorado College, messing up the initial look for the Pranksters yet again, throwing off their rhythm. They managed to work through it. Let's see if they can figure it out here.
Had Manns going deep, but they're going to settle for the under instead. Manns had a few steps on his defender, now gets it just past midfield. The rookie lefty now needing a reset. Finds it with LaValle. A lot of contact there. Is going to play through it from Kraft. Inside shot. They're not able to hit the continue there, so a couple points where they've been a little bit stagnant down here, downfield.
Yeah, the timing just doesn't seem to be right between the handlers and the cutters for the Pranksters. It seems like there's a lot of stagnation, or one group starts and then the other one is stagnant. As we see Kraft inches away from a block on LaValle.
He's hunting for one all game. This one's going to hang, but Raymond bodies out, grabs with 2 hands strong for the score. Middlebury gets the hold.
Manns to Raymond there, the 2 D-line crossovers that we spotlighted at the beginning of the point. Stepping up there, Manns doing a lot of really nice work for the Pranksters, making big cuts, creating big spaces. We see the replay there. LaValle, every single play for him has been contested with Kraft hounding him. But Middlebury able to survive it there and get the hold.
I think what's really interesting to see there with that shot from Middlebury is that was the first, like, really clean look off the break side, right? So what we're seeing there is, Mike, you kind of talked about it, they're holstering those first looks. They're not looking to swing the disc fast and get those arounds. But that one, it was immediate shot to Malachi Raymond downfield, and, really good success, and now they just trail by 3.
You had a chance to see Middlebury earlier this season, Mike, at FCS tune-up. What kind of Middlebury team do you see now from the team you saw at tune-up?
It's a team with a lot more defined roles, a team with a lot more, for lack of a better term, of a hierarchy in terms of figuring out their roster. Early in the season, FCS was their first tournament. They were really just evaluating everything that they've got, right? Seeing what they're working with, trying to figure out, what's best for everybody and just getting experiences. We see one of their favorite MI cheers on the sideline there. But this team now has kind of figured out their roles and figured out an identity of who they are, and they just look a lot more drilled and disciplined than early in the season. They're going to need that discipline if they're going to come back in this game. As we see, just an unforced error, missing an open target from the Wasabi O-line, and Middlebury with a chance here to wrangle back some momentum.
Wasabi, that's their first turnover on the offensive line. Every score they had on offense was a clean hold, yet to be broken in the first half. Perhaps they may get broken here.
And Middlebury needs to be disciplined here and play good offense, as we see a huge travel going called. Doesn't matter anyways. What I was going to say before that turnover was I just hope to see their if they do turn the disc over, that it's an aggressive turnover, right? When you get a break chance, you at least want to be aggressive and on the front foot. And if you turn it, so be it. But just don't give it away on something silly in the backfield. But we see the turnover there.
I think that's right, Mike. It's as long as you're not really turning it right in the reset space, giving them another short field to work through. That's an aggressive shot. It's kind of this OEO to the break as there's another turnover from Tanner Flagg. That's his second that point.
Flagg couldn't believe it here. Perhaps the sun hoodie getting in his vision there.
Well, it's bad body language from him. And after both turnovers, you saw the hands go to your head. Frisbee's a tough game. You're not going to be perfect for all of it. And there's going to be opportunities for you to make up from your mistake, as we see Flagg maybe a little too eager to make up for his mistake there. And I think a card's going to be coming out of the pocket for that bid.
Yeah, I think that's about right, Mike. He sees the position of his receiver kind of coming towards him, takes a straight line.
After the bid, we saw a timeout called as the bid also took place. So that's why everyone just jetted off the field. There is a card, but there's also a timeout called.
Yeah, so 2 things I want to spotlight there. One is I like that the observer gives the card there. Nip it early. Don't allow bad habits to form. And, it is a dangerous bid where he went into the straight leg of the Middlebury player. So his first bid of that sort in this game, but just an extremely dangerous one that you see on the replay there, inches away from disaster. But after that bid and during the discussion and as the observers came out, I saw Lincoln Grinch throw his arm around Flag there and kind of talk to him for a second. Being a really good leader, stepping up for his team there, noticing one of his teammates struggling on this point, couple turnovers, bad bid, throwing his arm around him to try and calm him down. Really impressive leadership there from Grinch. Love to see it.
We see the Wasabi sideline here getting a little bit active, getting fired up with their women's team in the stands, having a good time, staying loose, even though they not necessarily on the rope score-wise, but are in a little bit tricky of a position here with their offense after the second turnover.
Middlebury did get a break in the first half at one point, and they're trying to make that happen once again. You talked about the bid and the leadership. Great to see as the offense setting up for Middlebury. Grinch going to be on the mark, and that's a tall person to try to get around here.
Yeah, and real quick to put a bow on that bid, just want to make sure we're not vilifying Flag here, right? Like, it's an intense game. Emotions are high. Got the best of him there, but he's calmed down now. We had a timeout. Let's get back to the ultimate.
Max Rogers spinning around, finds Mans, and he gets it right back to Rogers, trying to get that disc movement to this close side, but that throw not going to work out. Anders Pullman with the block.
Yeah, I think the height of Grinch just made that elevator backhand have to go a little bit too high. Tough way to break the mark when your mark is as big as Grinch.
Grinch power position, instead goes with the under, and Sam Davis flipping to Van Linder. They do like to get their handlers out and running. Little inside shot past Raymond. Gets them within 10 yards of a hold. Good effort from Raymond, but Van Linder keeps hold of the disc. Couple fakes. Everyone trying to go to the open side. Grinch trying to activate, gets the reset. Puts his defender down on the turf and thought it might be a goal, but it's down. A drop there from Carpenter tapping his chest saying, my bad.
Yeah, just unforced errors on this point from Wasabi. Just missing shots, missing completions. And legs are going to start to get tired here. We're going to see if one of these teams can finish this point off. Raymond reaching back for it. And I think this is a moment where Raymond needs to assert himself and kind of take over this point. Use his legs against this tired defense. Like to see coming out of the stoppage here if they can set something up for him.
DiLorenzo caught the disc, and we'll see if it does remain with him. Get a great shot of the sideline there as Carpenter on the mark, the one with the drop there. And he immediately said to his team it was my bad, and going to see if he can ratchet it back up on defense here. Some discussion with Wally Kwong, the observer, and the disc will return to the hands of Mans.
If the disc is going back here, we should be seeing some players kind of reposition themselves, but it doesn't look like anybody's doing so.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, Mike.
And a false start, going to halt play once again.
I will say this point feels extra crucial because both teams are expending a lot of resources on it, right? Like for the Wasabi offense, this is the longest they've been on the field at once, and Middlebury having already used a timeout on this point, need to find a way to make it count, and could be a tipping point in this game. So we see the shot go up, high stall, Bodwin to Max Rogers with the two-handed dunk for the break. What a play from Rogers. Middlebury seizing some momentum here with the huge grab in the end zone.
That's a really great grab there from Rogers. Just goes up, not necessarily the tallest guy in the field, but goes up over, strong, comes down. Huge break for Middlebury right there.
Max Rogers, the one who was the recipient of the bid earlier, gets back up, makes the play, two hands. That's a two-hand flush dunk for you. And Middlebury getting themselves right back in it. And a huge break to start this early part of the second half. Get a shot of Max Rogers there.
Putting himself right back on the line. I don't know if he was called on or put himself on it, but Rogers right back out there. You see, give a little wry smile to the camera. And for Wasabi, no surprise here. Kraft stepping out there on the field, bringing in some fresh legs, as that was a long point. And this is the most Wasabi's had to work maybe this whole weekend on a point like that, a long grind like that. We talked about this last night at the Airbnb, Chris, of Wasabi just hasn't really been tested that much in this tournament. They haven't played a game that's close late. They've been dominating and blowing out everybody, and if Middlebury are able to get another break here to tighten it up, it'll be interesting to see Wasabi respond in that position.
And I mean, along with that, Mike, Middlebury was down in their semifinal yesterday, right? Colorado College has pretty much led in every game out of half. Like, Middlebury has had the experience in this tournament of battling back from a deficit. So maybe they're able to catch Colorado College on their heels, and right now it really looks like they're we see an offsides call here.
We've seen Colorado College defeat many of the teams below them throughout the season, so they have that experience that they know they've got wins over teams that are high seeds at this national championship, including Middlebury itself.
I have to admit my lack of knowledge here. I think the offsides was on the offense, so I guess they're just letting the defense get set. Not too sure there, but Wasabi having to work out of their own end zone.
Yeah, that's right.
Lots of space to work. Power position for Van Linder. Has Grinch coming across the field. Good effort, but now he's going to go with the flick. And we talked about unforced turnovers. We see that one right there.
Yeah, just a little too aggressive, trying to throw deep to somebody who was already deep. It wasn't really in flow and unable to get it deep enough there. And now Middlebury with the chance to pull within one.
Max Rogers resetting it back. Found Mans. Now goes with the break across to Louis. We're going to call him Louis Deauville Bodwin out there, the lefty. A couple lefties out on the field for this Pranksters side, and there's a fellow lefty in Mans. I have a soft spot for any southpaws out there. As a non-lefty myself, I think it adds a lot of dynamism to a line when you have those throwers out there.
Yeah, I personally think lefties should have to compete in their own division. It's unfair that we're expected to mark them. As we see the shot go up to Raymond.
Raymond jumping up high, but out of bounds. Kraft providing a lot of pressure there. And is going to receive the disc. Good spirit there from Raymond. Ran just out of real estate.
Yeah. Well, Raymond didn't need to give the disc to Kraft there, and Kraft not even letting Raymond get set. Well within his right to do so. But we're seeing some legs, some heavy legs out there from both sides.
Good bid attempt. Got to get up because Colorado College is going to come out on the move here. Van Linder receiving the disc once again. Working with Pullman. A little stagnant downfield for this vertical stack. Grinch kind of leaking out, not receiving the disc though. Kind of hovering out in some space. Inside shot. It's going to work out for Wasabi, but not the cleanest offense for the Colorado College side.
Yeah, not sure if that was the intended target or not there. You see a lot of hands on knees after that point. Just really tough for the Pranksters to have a look to the end zone and not be able to convert it. And then Wasabi the other direction. When that throw went up, everybody was stagnant. That was just a throw to space and trusting that one of Wasabi's receivers was going to go get it.
Yeah, Davis was just in the sack there, and it looked like he just jumped out and realized, oh, my guy's on the other side of me. Maybe if I can get this throw to the space over here, I'll be able to, kind of rake in a goal. So we see the shot again to Raymond. Oh, just a little bit too low on the jump there.
Yeah, I think he could have caught it if he just waited another step for the jump. I think he did have the real estate, but just unable to time that jump correctly. Had the chance and just couldn't come down with it.
Got a feel for this Middlebury side. They were trying to reduce the game to 1, and instead the three-point advantage is restored here. Sam Davis, 2 goals. Been buzzing around as a handler for them, a 3-year person for them.
And I want to see the Pranksters O-line here hold quickly and cleanly and put that Wasabi O-line right back on the field. If they're going to build any momentum in the second half, they can't let that O-line recover. They have to put them right back on the field with those heavy legs. Don't let them off the hook here.
See if they dial up a pull play to do just that.
What
large
a pull.
hanging pull there.
Jeez.
Putting Middlebury in their own end zone right now. LaValle trying to get them out. They do just that. Hartle face guarded by Kirkham, so we'll get an easy reset over to Hanscom. Has someone going deep, but going to settle for the reset.
I think that was a good decision.
Nadrine dancing around, doesn't get the disc, and it's going to be back to Hartle. And a pick will stop things momentarily. The disc was with Koplowitz.
Even out of this stoppage, I guess the pick was 2 throws ago. Okay, I retracted what I was going to say. I would love to see an aggressive cut deep coming out of this stoppage just to make Wasabi respect it.
Yeah.
Kirkham on the mark. Talk about long marks. Kirkham is one of them. Hartle trying to activate a reset. LaValle had his mark shift over, able to go with the backhand out of Hanscom. Some pressure, but Hanscom up to the task. Kraft trying to get there and provides the pressure needed for the block.
Yeah, he'd been guarding LaValle and switched over that point, deciding to take number 32, Matthew Koplowitz, and able to find a block. As we see LaValle peel off.
See the bid there, and O's drawn from the crowd.
And I suspect we're going to see another card here for that play.
Good prediction there, Mike, as Alan Baggish delivering the card.
Well, we've seen an emphasis this year from USA Ultimate on eliminating dangerous plays, and that poach out of the stack, moving laterally into somebody, making a vertical cut in, is just like the recipe for a dangerous play. It's really hard to make that play as a defender in a way that's safe for all parties involved. And you know, there's nothing dirty about the intent of the play from LaValle. You can see his eyes are on the disc the whole time, and he reads the play perfectly. But it's just, if you make that play, you have to be out there early enough to get out in front of the collision, and he just wasn't able to do so there, and I think the card is deserved.
Disc remains in the hands of Colorado College. A defensive point for the Wasabi side, and Hartle knocking that away, denying that break opportunity from Wasabi.
Wasabi D-line here, D-line offense looking a little bit more out of sorts than they have. You know, we're talking about heavy legs. Heavy legs are going both ways here, Mike. You know, it's not necessarily only Middlebury that's going to be feeling those effects.
Sure.
Hartle has that Kirkham matchup. Two of the tallest players on the field. LaValle.
Really subtle pivot from Hartle there to create a little bit of space on the mark. As we see Najarian able to tumble for it there and get the Pranksters to hold and put the pressure right back on that Wasabi offense.
That was a really nice break throw there. It was just one of those things where you get a little shimmy, you could step around the mark, maybe a little bit low, but you know, you got your receiver who can go and make that play, especially at this point in the game. That's big. As we see the block again through the middle from Middlebury. Really nice play there to kind of come through. Just nice, safe run-through block.
Yeah, good defense from Hartle, and that replay right there just came in just a bit after. There was like a little subtle shimmy shoulder bump into the mark to create the separation to then pop it over the mark shoulder there. Really crafty work from Hartle using his height. We've talked about Wasabi's handlers being tall and using that to break the mark. Hartle returning the favor a little bit right there.
Middlebury looking a little bit more comfortable behind the disc. I would say, you know, in the first half we talked about, oh, their offense looks a little bit junked up, but they're really moving the disc in a way that I see a lot of club teams look, a lot of pro teams look, where they have a look downfield and then they're right to the reset to change the angle of attack. That's something that is a very mature form of offense that you can really drill in and takes a lot of effort, but it's nice to see Middlebury going back to those sets, going back to those looks, playing within themselves a little bit more than maybe they did in the first half.
Yeah, you can see as a team that they have progressions that they want to go through with the disc, right? They have the same beats that they're working with, and their offense works the best when everybody's on the same page. Thinking about the team like a band, getting all the instruments in the band on the same rhythm, on the same beat, doing the same thing. They're starting to get a lot more comfortable against the physical marks of Wasabi. I think they might have shook them early in the game, but Pranksters settling in now.
Flag has the pull bounce up, and we'll center it to Grench here. Junkie set look from the Pranksters as Van Linder going to be working the backfield with Grench and Flag. Pullman hovering as a fourth handler in the backfield as well.
Can't say I'm crazy about going zone here. You have the Wasabi O-line reeling a little bit with the pressure that you were generating, and going zone just lets them feel a little more comfortable, and there's less intensity on the defense as you see the throw knifing through the zone there.
Carpenter has a running Van Linder, and they're off to the races over to Sam Davis, and now Flag a couple yards away. And Grinch wide open, going to take the easy swing. Had someone over there in Pullman, still poached, but instead finding Flag. Remaining in the zone look are the Pranksters. Grinch hits Pullman for the score, and you mentioned you weren't a fan of the zone, and perhaps Middlebury won't be a fan of that as they might want to draw something up different there.
Yeah, I mean, the only time the zone has worked was when Grinch allowed it to work with that silly high release flick, and anytime they've just stuck to simple backhands, flicks to the chest. They've had their way with that Middlebury zone, and they look comfortable against it there.
Yeah, Mike, I think that's exactly right. Maybe that is to just kind of tire them out, deter some throws, because usually a zone like that is meant to stop things over the top in the deep space. But, I mean, you're right. Wasabi has had perfectly good success just working it through the middle of the field, hitting the break sides on those backhands. Like, those inside backhands are tearing up this Middlebury defense. So, you know, maybe a strategy call to rest the offense a little bit, knowing that they haven't had these clean holds. But, yeah, I don't know how much – I agree with you. I don't know how I feel about that zone call.
Well, we talked about the marathon point that ended in a Middlebury break just a few points ago and how that's the longest Wasabi's had to be on the field and how the legs started to look tired. I don't think Grinch got out of first gear on that point.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't
He was
have
walking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he literally got to walk up the field, and that lets him off the hook a little bit. Make him work again. Keep pushing him, you know, really test him a little bit to make tough decisions under pressure.
One of the things that you can really learn in zone offense is how to rest while you're on the field. And the way that you can do that, especially if you have a lead like this, I mean, there is a clock. It's not like there's a shot clock. But, you know, it's something that you can really learn to do and do well.
Some personnel decisions here from Middlebury as we see Malachi Raymond crossing over for this point.
Perhaps wanting some more firepower. He's been doing well on both sides of the disc. See him out there along with Mans. So Mans and Raymond doing a little double duty here. The Sub-Zero player and Raymond getting it around. Kraft was there, but it's a teammate who gets the block. That's Earhart. Kraft picking up the disc, trying to work it quickly, finding Kirkham, almost taken away by Hanscom. And they swing it around for the score and the break. Wasabi up 4 points.
Absolute heartbreaker there for the Pranksters. We could see it perfectly from our booth, and I just think Raymond obviously couldn't see that other defender that was in there and passed it almost right to him. And easy break, easy transition. The Pranksters could never recover, and Wasabi extend their lead back to 4.
Definitely a little bit too casual there from Middlebury. You know, you need to be very deliberate with all these throws at this point in the game. And through a zone, you know, if somebody looks open, they're probably not going to be as open as you think. Right here, just reading his eyes the entire time, going out there and making a nice poach block and right away for the goal. Earhart really doing a good job reading the offense there, making sure that he can assert himself and get a nice block.
Yeah, and something else that contributed to that was the spacing from the 2 resets for Middlebury. Both set up on the same plane, on the same level, in similar spaces. And so, you know, you want to give space for your resets so that a throw can go out into space if necessary. And there was no space for Raymond to throw into there with both resets in the same plane.
Mans and Raymond out on the field as we get one more shot. Sam Davis dishing it to Will Wallace for the score. Davis's first assist of the game. And now we talk about tipping points throughout a game. Mike, I'm going to suggest that this is one of them.
I mean, yeah, another break here would be just about all she wrote. So the Pranksters here, you know, need to approach this point with the utmost focus and intensity.
Side stack here from the Pranksters. We see Najarian getting things going, and they're slowly flooding back into the middle. Hanscom got the check of Kirkham here as Najarian, excuse me, a mouthful out there, trying to say it quickly. Gets blocked at the point of attack. That's Billy Van Linder, BVL.
Crossing over for a deep point and getting his cleat out there and stuffing that throw. And now Wasabi taking a timeout, sensing the moment here and trying to put this game away.
Middlebury definitely looking a little bit sluggish there. Looks like all their cuts were just a little bit slower than they normally are. Not necessarily sprinting through the disc, and then, you know, on that step out, just got a foot in the way and was able to get a pretty big block. And now they've got the disc, middle of the field, going the other way.
Kraft, the one who took the timeout. So you have one of your best players, if not your best player. We're going to say 1A, 1B with Grinch and Kraft. And he's going to start with the disc. And speaking of other star players, you can't talk about Colorado College without talking about Billy Van Linder, number 11 in dark.
It's so impressive how good he's been as a freshman. And the trust that they have in him, the responsibility they give him, crossing him over onto both lines, making him the center point here on their offense and trusting him to make these throws. You know, you're seeing a variety of highlights here from him. Yes, that one right there was a trust ball, but the rest of them just really sound decisions, hitting receivers in stride, making it easy for the rest of his teammates, and that's what great handlers do is set their cutters up to be great.
Yeah, there's a lot of maturity there from Billy Van Linder, as you see again, that really nice point block. Just just nice composed after that. Not necessarily going up and down, a little bit of a mean mug, but Billy Van Linder having himself a game.
We've seen Kraft take a timeout earlier that helped them score a point, getting the break that they needed, and so he's going to orchestrate this offense right now. Van Linder in the dump set to start things off.
You see the stack here, the front of the stack offset a little bit, trying to create maybe a little bit of a window. I'd expect that to be the initiation here.
Brown was the initiator cut. They look it off. Lefty flip to the open side to the aforementioned Van Linder. Good pressure, but able to stick with it is Will Wallace. Dangerous pass, and it's batted away.
Yeah, Nigerian there staying tight on Van Linder, able to get the block. That's twice now we've seen Wasabi take a timeout to set something up for a break, and twice they have failed to execute coming out of that timeout. Brutal use of the timeout there.
The Valley high throw, Hanscom is sure-handed. Has Mans going deep. Raymond is there as well. Will this throw stay in bounds? It does not.
Tough for Hanscom there, having to throw the backhand. Backhands just, inherently float a little bit longer, and he's unable to find the right touch on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit disappointing there from Hanscom when he goes back and watches that. That, put it nice out in front of his two players, giving them the ability to run on, and it looked like, Raymond could even have helped out a little bit boxed out, but, ultimately it's that's how it goes sometimes. But you're getting a little bit better field position here on defense, so hopefully they're able to go out, get a block, get the disc back, and ideally convert this hole.
Middlebury really poaching off when a player's kind of to that open side there. Saw Carpenter going deep and a couple players head into his direction.
Great find on that inside from Van Linder. Stall count was rising.
Talked about being impressed with Van Linder. Now with the missed bid, they're off give and go down the field. Van Linder remains it with it, had it in power position, now settling back, looking for a cut. And a defender falling to the turf, and that was LaValle, and Kraft was there as well.
Yeah, LaValle playing really physical defense there. Just looked like Kraft just kind of gave him a little bit of a shoulder to knock him off, but I think that call makes a little bit of sense, just seeing how tight they were both playing and then the contact to put them on their heels.
We've been talking about Kraft's defense on LaValle all game, but LaValle returning the favor a little bit on this point. I really like the physical handler defense from him.
Yeah, you're going to have to put some pressure on him if you want to slow him down, and I think LaValle's doing a nice job.
As we say that, Kraft does get the up line on LaValle, but maybe it was some Trojan horse move as there's a turnover, giving Middlebury another opportunity.
I feel like we just saw Oliver Kraft be immortal for the first time this weekend. He seemed untouchable out there. Raymond wanting it deep from LaValle, but LaValle holstering it, hitting Hanscom for a nice big under instead.
Hanscom now going reset. There's a couple players there. This might not stay in bounds. It was a good effort from Raymond, but clearly out of bounds there.
Hanscom struggling out there on this point with a couple throwaways now. Raymond was poached and really begging for that disc, but that's just such a hard space to hit.
See the veteran move from Van Linder. I know you mentioned just a freshman, but slowly walking up, allowing the stack to set up here. Finds Kirkham, the big long reach, able to snag that one under the mark of Hartle. Now Colorado College trying to knock on the door of a second straight break. Really trying to punctuate this lead here, and talked about the tipping point. This might be it if they can go up 13-8. Kraft working give and go with Van Linder. Kraft going around. Finds Ben Carpenter for the score and the Wasabi break.
That's a huge point there. You cross over a few people on defense trying to punish it. Carpenter, someone who we've seen play both ways. Van Linder, someone who's primarily played on offense, crossing over there. And if you're going to do that, you got to take advantage of it, especially when it becomes a marathon point like that. And Wasabi with another break, their second in a row. And this hill that the Pranksters have to climb just continues to get a little bit steeper, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. As we see the turn here from Kraft, just a little bit of an elevator that didn't necessarily get there. But, going the other way, you can capitalize on these Middlebury turnovers. Just some nice break side movement over to Carpenter for the break. It's looking tougher and tougher for the Pranksters, and it's, as it looks like there's a timeout, that's probably good just to recenter yourselves. You're in a five goal hole here. Maybe just get yourself recentered, give your offense a chance to rest, get back out on the field.
Middlebury looking to reset themselves, as you mentioned there, Chris. They're down 5, taking a timeout, and we'll do so as well, and be right back.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
We're back from the timeout here as Wasabi 5-point advantage, and it's been off the back of their defense, of course, providing a lot of pressure. We've talked about Middlebury looking a little bit out of sorts here, something that we haven't seen during this tournament.
Yeah, you know, Middlebury's offense has always been something that they can have a rock on. However, right now with this pressure from Wasabi, this is one of the largest, if not the largest, deficits they have faced the entire weekend, Theo. And you know, after this timeout, hopefully they can, you know, take a big clap, regroup, and get back out on the field there, run their systems that they have been so good at running this entire season. But who knows?
Middlebury putting out what feels like their top end O-line with Raymond and Mans crossing over again here. Just one at a time for the Pranksters. They've got a big deficit to climb out of, but starts with the first. So we see a foul call here.
Earhart on the mark. LaValle going to call a foul. Don't think it will be contested here by number 20 in dark.
Foul call is upheld by the observer. Possession staying with Pranksters.
LaValle will keep it as Kirkham hovering in the backfield as a defender there. Drawing the Bayshore matchup. A little dangerous throw. Bayshore able to reel it in.
This junk look from Wasabi has just made every O point for Middlebury start off on a very stagnant dead note. Nothing out of rhythm early on the Pranksters offense.
Couple fakes needing a reset. Nigerian finds Raymond just at their own brick mark. I mentioned things looking difficult. They're trying to work downfield. They do get to Hartle, but no deep cuts once he receives the disc. Nigerian doing a lot of work on this point.
Yeah, despite drawing the Kraft matchup, he's still been able to create separation for himself. And Kraft certainly an excellent defender no matter where he is on the field, but best in the handler space, and Nigerian dragging him downfield and creating separation.
Someone is looking really quiet at this point. Max Hanscom, he's just kind of patrolling the deep space there, not really making super hard cuts, so maybe just kind of creating space, hoping to draw a matchup out, but would like to see him kind of get a little bit more involved here.
Hartle has Bayshore going up line, draws a poach, able to hit the around, but a tough throw for LaValle to grab.
Yeah, that's one where the momentum of Hartle stepping through for the backhand is going the opposite direction of the momentum LaValle had, making that strike cut. Just an awkward play. You see an elevator backhand from Kraft to open things up here.
Looks very smooth as a handler, making things look very easy. Couple fakes and never looks really pressured in the backfield. Kirkham has Brown going deep, throws it up. Hanscom is there, and that pressure jumping up early, causing that turnover.
Yeah, you talked about Hanscom kind of patrolling the deep space on offense there, Chris. Really nice help play from him there. Doesn't touch the disc, so he's not really going to get a block there, but that play is all Hanscom providing pressure from the back.
Yeah, definitely making the receiver just go up a little bit earlier than they probably need to. Good play there from Hanscom.
We talked about number 30 already, Nigerian, and he's drawn the Kraft matchup, but able to get it under. Resetting it over to Hartle. Mans the lefty, has Hanscom, who faked deep and now coming under to the break side. Able to take that with the right hand and land in bounds. A big offensive point here, down 5 in this second half.
Everything just looks so difficult for the Pranksters right now. Nothing is coming easy.
LaValle going with the blade, finds Raymond. You mentioned it wasn't easy, but they're making it look fun there on the field.
I mean, that's an impressive throw, given the fact that it worked. But I think if you're Wasabi, you got to just look at each other and be willing to live with that. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of defense you scheme up to take away a look like that.
Yeah, I'll give that the vision. The vision of this throw right here. Like, you know, I wouldn't think to throw it. It has the same trajectory of a hammer, but it's nice and puts it only where Raymond can go and get it. Just kind of a nice, you know, bring it to the chest like you learned in Pop Warner, right? Just bring it in. And ultimately they get a hold there. That was the strong offensive line that they needed.
As Middlebury attempts to make this comeback, we saw Carleton College try to do that in the women's final, made an ending very exciting. They're without any more timeouts, so they're going to have to just use their system and work with the personnel they have. They can't get another break. Colorado College has one timeout remaining.
Middlebury's a team whose energy is usually infectious, but I don't love the body language from them right now. As you see people walking off the field, hands are on hips, and people look tired. The enthusiasm isn't exactly there. You can hear the Colorado College sideline right now. Middlebury have to dig into what makes them great, dig into that community, dig into that program to find the legs and find a second wind here to try and make a comeback in this game.
Yeah, Mike, I can't agree more. This is probably the quietest I have ever seen a Middlebury sideline ever, both from the fans here and also on the field. So we'll see if they can switch the energy maybe with another break at this point.
Taken down in the semis last year to Oklahoma Christian in an epic game that Mike and I had the pleasure to call. And they're in the final this year and trying to make some things happen on defense, but shredding through our Wasabi right now. Davis resetting it back to Van Linder.
Back in this zone look, and Wasabi look very comfortable against it, although they've now fallen out into a matchup defense.
Flag has an open Davis. Maybe he was going to go with the flick blade, but decides to holster instead. An inside shot to open up the field. Grinch letting this hang. Bodies out to make the grab.
Rogers giving up about 4 inches and probably 40 pounds on Grinch there. Just going to be really tough for him to find the angle to make that play.
Flag running this run down and electing to try to bid for it, but it settles into the turf.
Van Linder taking blame for that right away. Just didn't put the right edge on that disc for it to carve back into Flag's cut. And now Middlebury with a chance here. There's a receiver leaking deep. It's Jory Dahl. The throw is going to hang.
Dahl going up strong with 2 hands. And that's a Middlebury break. They reach the 10-point marker, and it's a 3-point advantage for Wasabi.
Yeah, you see Louis Duville-Baudouin following the play there, catching the break. He had thrown each of the other breaks for Middlebury. He's been prominently involved when everything is going well for the Middlebury D-line. They pull it back within 3. They've got a lot of work to do, but you got to start with 1.
And on that turnover, just a little bit of lackluster communication there from Colorado College, just letting the Middlebury receiver sneak deep there. I mean, on those turnovers, you just need to get right back on the horse, right? You need to just go and look and say, okay, who's here, especially with those unforced turnovers, Mike.
Yeah, felt like I was watching my beloved Los Angeles Lakers there with that poor transition defense.
No.
It's
gosh.
something I've seen them get destroyed by in this series they're in right now, and just lack of attention to detail from Wasabi to find their matchups in transition allows Jory Dahl to leak free deep. You see everybody's kind of walking and nobody's really paying attention to Dahl trotting down the field. Mann's able to pick it up and get that deep shot off. As Dahl had about 15 yards of space. The throw hangs, but that's the right space to miss to for the tall receiver, Jory Dahl.
I don't know how you miss him downfield.
Yeah.
So a clear blown assignment there, and sometimes when you're an offensive line, you're used to scoring. When you have that turnover, you hang your heads, and you're not picking up your assignments fast enough here. So Middlebury trying to make this game an exciting finish. We're expecting that as Flag centering it back to the same offensive line. Kraft is out there.
We see this zone look again. Grinch just carving through the middle of it.
Grinch receives a disc back from Davis. Middlebury electing to go with that zone look, as you mentioned, Mike, and it doesn't seem to be providing as much resistance as the Middlebury fans at home would like. Give and go action. Kraft and Grinch. Who else?
Middlebury just looking gassed here when they transitioned out of that zone look. You can see Malachi Raymond just, keeping his head down, just kind of jogging behind the play. And, Grinch and Kraft just able to go back and forth, cook a little bit, get that easy strike. And now they're up 14-10.
The thing that I dislike the most about going with that zone look there is when you do transition out of it, you don't get to pick your matchups.
Yeah.
And when you see a universe-type O-line out there for Wasabi where Kraft is out there, Grinch is out there, Van Linder's out there, all the top players are out there, you want to get to be a little more intentional with your matchups, and you don't get to do that when you're playing transition defense.
Or you just want to get out of it early, right? I mean, that's something where if you can pin them deep, you get them to about half field, then you can start to, you can start to use your physicality. You can start to take away those size threats downfield. But if you stay in it, as deep as Middlebury does, it's going to be very difficult. You're right to call those matchups and play really good pressure D right on the goal line, giving them the opportunity to just give and go.
In this tournament, Colorado College, their closest opponent was Kenyon in pool play, who provided a scare to St. Olaf in the quarters. Kenyon scoring 11 points, but in the quarterfinals, they defeated Williams 15-8 and then Richmond 15-9 yesterday, trying to cap off an historic season. Their best finish at this tournament at D3 Nationals, 7th last season. So they've already exceeded that, hoping to cap it off with the title right now. Can they do it out here on defense?
Pranksters bringing back out that universe O-line with Mans and Raymond crossing over. A lot of stagnation for the Pranksters. We see a deep cut from Hartle.
Hartle chugging along, gets the disc on the end zone line. And a couple players run into each other from Wasabi. Raymond was the one who was going down, and a couple defenders bumping into each other in Davis and Kirkham.
So this is kind of an interesting play here because the player who caught the goal wasn't being guarded by either of those two defenders, right? So if they're going to argue that they had to play on the disc, one of them was guarding Raymond, the other one was on the mark. As we see this nice huck again, but as we get to the goal line, it'll be interesting to see if the observers argue that, as we listen in here a little bit maybe, that there wasn't a play. So I don't know. See that collision again and just snuck outside there for the goal.
Mans would be credited with the goal if it does stand, as Davis in discussion, along with Kirkham, Hanscom. There's a lot of players around the discussion right now.
It was a big point here.
That is a pick, but this is coming back.
Yeah, they do rule it a pick there. The one thing I will say is Raymond trying to fast break through did run pretty close to Hartle and might have created that contact. And so we see the deep shot there. Really nice play design there for the Pranksters. That's the best offense we've seen out of them off of a pole.
Hartle flips it to Bayshore, but hold your horses right now. There is some discussion and a call.
Yeah, Kraft looks like he waves it off, though, telling his teammate to retract the call. And Bayshore fired up, trying to get the Pranksters to dig deep and make one final push here.
Yeah, that's definitely a big point there. Once again, you're able to see just that huck just opened up the deep space. Nice little dishes here right for the goal. And Middlebury fired up after the call gets retracted from Wasabi.
And Wasabi's been running this junk look on defense to mess up any pole play that the Pranksters run. And I think that might have been the first time we saw them come down in just pure matchup defense. And the Pranksters take advantage of it with the pole play set up to get Hartle going deep. And that was an excellent throw from Bayshore, almost going end zone to end zone, putting him on the warning track instead, but getting the hold right after.
You mentioned Kraft telling his teammate to rescind the call. Just want to give a shout out to the spirit of both teams. We've seen some cards and calls, but it hasn't been as chippy as I think a final could be with both teams knowing what's on the line.
And not to defend cards or say that any of that is okay, but I would rather say it's somewhat expected in a game with the magnitude of a championship game where players are all trying to be the one to make that big play and everything. Again, not endorsing or encouraging it, but just saying it's not shocking to see, and both teams have handled themselves really well in the aftermath of those plays.
Teammates entrusting each other to make calls and accept what their friend and player is saying is also great to see. But now it's got to be power D-lines the rest of the way through for this Prankster side. Starts with this point right now, and Carleton College 1 point away from a national title, the #1 seed overall, showing their might throughout this tournament so far and having to deal with the zone set once again. Are you surprised they're going with this right now, Mike?
I am, just because of how passive it is on a point where you have to get a break. They've fallen out of it pretty quickly here, but already in the red zone for Wasabi.
Flag going around to Grinch, has space and time at the opposing brick mark here. They can taste a national title. A little jam cut now. Big fake from Carpenter. Van Linder resetting the flag. Inside shot. And there it is. Colorado College are your national champions. They take down the Pranksters 15-11.
Really nice offense there from Wasabi. And if you'd have asked me to guess at the start of the point who would have been making the big throw, I'd have picked Grinch, I'd have picked Van Linder, but instead it was Flag, who we saw earlier in the game have a few struggles, able to bounce back there and have the mental fortitude to make that tough throw and punch in the game winner for Wasabi.
Colorado College Wasabi deserve a champion. After their history, and we talk about this in our pre-tournament coverage, of underperforming, of coming up a little bit short in games that they probably need to, put together an exceptionally dominant performance this weekend. Great job to Wasabi. Congratulations to them. As we take a look again at this last point here, Grinch just anchoring the offense, throwing it around. Some nice patience here from Wasabi just to wait for the right throw to open up. And then Tanner Flag, nice inside there. And they're national champions.
Love the celebration, too. The shock and awe of winning a title, the 3-day tournament. It was been such a great experience. Mike, I'm going to let you give us some final thoughts and just talk about what this tournament means.
Well, such an impressive showing from Wasabi. You know, one of the things that when you're the #1 overall seed at a tournament, there's no room to overachieve, right? All you can do is underperform or meet expectations, and that can put a lot of pressure on a team. But Wasabi are able to meet those expectations and play to their standard. They're a team we talked about. We watched them on film prior to this weekend. Chris, you and I were talking about this at the Airbnb. They looked good, but they didn't look this good. And it feels like a team that was on a crescendo all season and found their peak at Nationals playing their best ultimate at the right time.
And we look at their run through the bracket here, just dominant victories over all their teams from quarters up into this game against Middlebury. 15-8, 15-9, 15-11. Sure, those deficits are getting a little bit, a little bit more, a little bit less, but this entire weekend, I think their closest game was within 4 points, Mike.
Yeah, 2 15-11 results. Nobody else put up double-digit goals on them, and just incredible dominance, proving that they deserve to be the 1 seed. I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, they were the best team in the division this year and are worthy champions for the 2023 D3 men's title.
What a tournament it was, and so much great action here. I want to thank all the volunteers that helped make this tournament run, the USA Ultimate staff as well. We have our great production team, so I'd be remiss not to talk about them. Jocelyn Palio, Kelly Roos, and Maylene Converse on the cameras, and Aiden Shapiro-Layton, our producer, doing a great job making us look good and sound good here. And we'll be right back as we're going to conclude this men's final.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
a place where we remember to laugh,
where we learn to trust,
learn to high-five strangers,
and eventually even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
All right, we are down here on the field live with Oliver Kraft and Lincoln Grench, winners with Colorado College Wasabi, national champions, captains. Try to articulate how you're feeling right now.
Obviously, I feel super stoked to win the national championship. First off, props to Mid. I was hoping to play them all weekend long. I think they're like the most fun, spirited team out here, and they're a bunch of like studs and super good dudes. We were going around in a circle after our Richmond semifinal game and just like talking about what the semifinal meant to us, and every single person in the circle was speaking to the community we have as a team. So like, we're stoked for this championship, but like, we're also super proud of this community we've built. Like, there's a lot of shit going on and lives, and everyone's like here to support each other. So yeah, especially this dude. This dude's like the heart and soul of the team. Picks me up every day.
I'm so happy for this team. Like, we put so much work into this. This guy is grinding. That's why he's our dominant nomination. You saw it on the field today. Like, it's incredible. And our sideline is the best sideline in the game, like, no doubt. And then when you add Zenith in the stands screaming as loud as they did, like, we're unstoppable. It's all the sideline. So, yeah.
Can I say, like, get ready for 3 more years of this? Like, we have a bunch of stud freshmen, but we also have, like, 12 freshmen deep. We're all stoked to be on this team, so get ready for some more.
Thanks so much. Excited to see what the future has in store. Congratulations again. Don't want to keep you from the Spirit Circle. Back to you.
Fiona, thanks for that. And what a great interview. You see the emotion on the faces of the Colorado College players. You know what this tournament means to them, and just the support also from the Zenith side, so I want to give them an extra shout out as well. Staying the whole time in the heat, celebrating with their squad, and it's been a great tournament. And Mike, I know the D3 division means a lot to you, so I'll give you a chance to share some thoughts before we go off the air.
Yeah, I think the takeaway from this weekend and from that interview specifically too is you hear that emphasis on community and the importance of culture for Wasabi and how important that was to them. And I think that should serve as an example to all the other teams out there about the process of what you do, right? It's not just what you do on the field, but how you get there and what you do and what you build around your product on the field. And Wasabi were certainly the most talented and best real team on the field as well, but they had the team culture and community to support that and carry them through the entire season and paying off at the end with a national championship. Congratulations to Wasabi.
Congratulations is right. Wasabi takes it home. The #1 seed overall. Your national champions. For Chris Casella and Mike Ball, I'm Theo Wan. We thank you so much for tuning into UltiWorld's coverage. We got D1 action coming for you in the weekend, so stay tuned for that. You can watch all the live streams as well, archived at ultiworld.com. Thank you again for being a subscriber. Colorado College takes it 15-11.